Hey everybody, welcome back again to the Armchair TV show here on the 614 Radio Network.
All day.
I'm Bill Reed, with me as always, America's counselor. He's the host of Gray Matters Radio, Mr. Michael Devine.
What up?
What's up, Mikey? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man, dude. It's another night, another show. I mean, life is, life can't be bad if we get to do this shit, in our free time, man. That's all I gotta say.
I'll tell you what, man, not to get all political on you, but this global warming shit is real. Tomorrow it's about to be, October, and we have record highs here in central Ohio. It's going to be in the 90s.
Dude, yeah, man. Wow. It's
for October? What?
There's some weird shit going on with weather, man. I mean, it's crazy and extremes everywhere, man, and yeah, dude, it's weird. It's 90. It's going to be like 92, 93 tomorrow, but then it's going to then go back into our normal 60s.
Well, it's Midwest. I mean, that's what it does. I mean,
yeah.
The old saying about Ohio weather is if you don't like the weather, wait an hour.
Yeah.
It's going to change on you. So it is what it is. But I mean, that's what's so strange about it is, you have people who love to talk about. Shut up.
Sorry. God. Yeah, the first time I ever sneezed on the air.
Oh, that's ruined.
All right. Speaking of Ohio and allergies, sorry. Fuck.
That's the dog next.
First time in how many episodes?
You're allergic to Pookie there. No, I mean it's just weird because you'll have people who are so dead set against climate change or global warming, and you have people that will fight you that it is happening, and it's why does it have to be so? You against me. It's so weird. I don't know. Can't climate change be happening and it not be a political thing? Isn't that a Mother Nature thing?
Honestly, I think I've talked to people about this a lot, because, I mean, being a pilot, I know a decent amount about weather, but even though, my understanding of weather compared to, someone like a PhD is like this. But whenever you kind of corner them and you kind of debunk a lot of the misbeliefs about, research and what have you, a lot of times what it comes down to is that they just don't want to believe it because there's some really big consequences. And that's all it comes down to. People just
think it's
don't.
A conspiracy.
Yeah, they don't want to believe it. I think even if you get it to where it's not a conspiracy and they can at least entertain that, it's just they don't want to believe that we have that effect, whether it be a religious thing. That, God wouldn't give us this planet if we could fuck it up like this. Some people very much, it's just like a stick in their head in the sand. They just don't want to believe it. So, some people it's, well, I believe it. Well, no one else is playing by the rules. So if they're not going to play by the rules, why should we? It's just, it's right. Short-sighted. It really, really is.
Again, it goes back to the whole conspiracy theory. I mean, well, you said you were a pilot.
Yeah.
Right? So I want to get your opinion on what is your opinion on these alleged chemtrails? I hear about coming from planes that some of these chemtrails are things you see in the sky, like these, clouds of smoke or these trails of smoke.
Yeah, you know what, man? People have been talking about that shit since Art Bell in the 90s, man. Yeah. I mean, every plane has a contrail. If you're flying up high enough, you're going to have contrails. And people are like, well, it's in a pattern. Well, there's these thing called Victor Airways. They're literally highways in the sky. Literally, when they fly in this pattern, yeah, because they fly on the same pattern if they're flying to certain kind of areas. So, of course, they're going to be in a pattern. I mean, literally, dude, just put it in perspective. So when we lived in Texas, we lived on a flight line. And even when they were flying, shit, man, they were probably flying at maybe 2,000 feet above the ground, maybe not even, maybe 1,000. I mean, hell, there's some days it's 1,000 feet above the ground. You'd hear shit rattling. You would not get any residue or anything. You had some people, maybe some days, they would randomly have some residue from the diesel fuel kind of landing, but you just never really saw it. You'd hear it, right? So take dispersion at 1,000 feet. You rarely would get residue, oily residue from jet engines, and then so they're flying at 20, 30,000 feet, and then they're laying these chemtrails. It's the dispersion. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
The whole thing about that is, I mean, who would ultimately probably have to be behind these chemtrails? Our government, right?
Yeah,
the
but
ones with
it's
the
just
means
like
to
it
carry
doesn't.
out and the
There's no part of it that makes any sense. Like
well,
if you put it this way,
our government does a lot of things that don't
well,
make sense.
if
So.
you are, but the thing is, like from a perspective of like contrail, they're called contrails. Every plane has contrails up in that altitude.
Wait,
Okay,
they're contrails? I call them chemtrails.
right. Chemtrails are the conspiracy theory that they're chemicals.
Oh,
Contrails are what come off
what
of
actually
every
come off.
single airplane. When you fly up that high, because the air is so cold and it's so dry, when the moisture comes out of the engine from burning the fuel, the water vapors crystallize in the air because it is so cold, and they rapidly freeze up, right? And so that every plane has it at that altitude. It would make no sense to do it. If you really were trying to poison people or genetically engineer people, you would just put it in the water. That would actually be effective. Done.
Well,
Job is done.
I don't drink water. I'm drinking some more Sam Adams Oktoberfest because it is, October now. So
Yeah, it is. So I'm sorry I got on my rant, but you did ask.
I asked.
It makes no sense. It is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. If they wanted to, put it in the water. It's done.
I think
There you go.
with the chemtrail conspiracy, along with pretty much all conspiracies, is if it was anyone but the government, you would say, that's impossible. But our government, and again, this is not reflective on the country itself or the people, but I'm talking about the government, right? There's some shady mofos.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it was like Art Bell in the '90s.
And it
You
doesn't
know,
matter it doesn't matter which political party they're a part of. I'm talking about the real people that run the government. I know we have elected officials. I get all that, and I'm not saying that there's a new world order per se, but I'm kind of saying there's a new world order. I mean, let's be honest. I do think there are some, real decision makers out there that, you don't hear about or you don't read about or that are not elected.
Yeah, I'm sitting there kind of looking at like what is
Like Bigfoot. He's probably, on the board of directors or along with, the Chupacabra.
So all right, so the whole conspiracy is like, so basically they believe they're chemicals or biological agents. Believers of conspiracy theories say that the normal contrails dissipate relatively quickly. It's like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. And they say that maybe like they're trying to do something with like solar radiation management, weather modification, psychological manipulation, human population control, or biological or chemical warfare.
But see, our government has a terrible history of doing this shit, though. I mean, let's be honest. Look at the Tuskegee experiments. Look at the things they've done, during wars and stuff. They would test, shit on prisoners of war. Who are they going to run to? Look what they did with the with acid.
Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, once again, like those make sense though. I mean, like that one.
Do you know where acid came from?
Yeah, the CIA. Yeah.
Well, do you know where it came from before the CIA? The CIA, they cultivated it and they basically harvested it. So
I believe it was pharmaceutical companies looking for an antidepressant.
Before that, it was made by the Germans, right? The Nazis, as a truth serum.
Oh yeah, that's why the CIA used it.
Well, that's
yeah.
what I mean. That's where they got it from originally,
Yeah.
though. The Germans were looking for a truth serum.
Yeah.
Which, can you imagine that?
Do you know that they're handing it out for free?
Of course they were.
Yeah, well, and they wanted to see what. Yeah.
But that's my point, though. With government.
Yeah.
Being shady like that, so.
But the thing is that one makes sense though. You can sit there and go, okay, you see what they're doing and why, and their modality would work. The chemtrails doesn't make any sense. Like it would dissipate before it hit the ground, and you would do all this, and it has no. You literally. I mean, literally, dude, you could go 20,000 feet up, and the prevailing winds would take it 50, 100, sometimes 1,000 miles away from where you're at. There's no way of controlling where you drop it. You want to control it? Put it in your water. That's it. That is done. That's it. It's this is where conspiracy theories, people overthink. Like, well, what about this and what about that and that? And it's like, dude, like I can make it very simple. It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense.
Well, I mean, look at the Kennedy assassination. Robert and JFK. A lot of people say that the government either knows or was behind.
But once again, that one it can somewhat make sense. The chemtrails one makes no sense. Then the modality makes.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. assassinated.
Once again, that all makes sense. You can pull evidence together. You can look at the conspiracy theory and how they pulled it off.
Yeah.
The chemtrail one makes no physical sense. None whatsoever.
All right.
Yeah, none.
Case is closed.
Case is closed. It's dumb. It's bullshit. And listeners, if anyone sits there and says they believe in chemtrails, I just want you to punch them right in the fucking dick. I mean, like you're doing them a favor by getting them to talk stocking about chemtrails. And stop being friends with them because they are a fucking idiot.
I
Sorry.
personally think there might be something to chemtrails, but
There is nothing. There is nothing to it.
I don't know that there's not.
There can't be anything to it.
Okay.
All I gotta say is, go to the top of your house, take a squirt bottle, and try to see if you can squirt water from the second floor and try to hit the person below. You're not gonna do it. It's not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. It is so inefficient, makes no sense. You can't control it. It would disperse. There's no there's no delivery device that would work with it. It's impossible.
How much are they paying you right now to say that? Exactly. I'd like to move on to something that's a little more American.
All day.
As opposed to my trader here, is baseball.
Yes. I like that. It's a little more American.
The baseball playoffs are upon us once again.
Yeah. My Mets missed out by this much.
Well, I had to wear my red shirt, even though we
You did.
The only way the Reds are going to the playoffs is if they buy a ticket.
Yeah.
But that's not the point. Who do you like? Who do you like this year?
I mean, dude, the Dodgers. I mean, dude,
Dodgers.
they could have literally taken off the last month of the season and not playing games and still made the playoffs. That's how good the Dodgers are this year. I mean, the Yanks look good.
I think the Dodgers are going to be another letdown again.
They do kind of. I mean, they do kind of get there. I mean, the team I think is the toughest. That's the best all-around team is the Braves. I mean, dude, they're tough, man. I mean, dude, man, we played them multiple times, and they are just relentless. They got starting pitching, they got a bullpen, they got young, solid team.
I like Houston. Houston's got great pitching too.
Houston's going to be good. Man. Yeah, Houston's going to be solid.
I think that's my pick to win it all.
I always still forget that they're in the American League.
I know.
I always forget. I mean, dude, I think they're going to be good. I mean, the Yanks I liked a lot, but they got a lot of injuries here towards the end. They got kind of beaten up, so I'm not really sure how healthy they're going to be. But I still can't get beyond my Mets. I mean, you think about the Mets the Mets were kind of let down. I mean, the Angels were let down.
Well, I know you were talking about earlier, and you wanted to mention about the Mets, management.
Yeah, there's a big thing because the Mets, like, whenever you have a team like ours where we have this amazing core and we lost out by like 3 games, we're talking like, I mean, think about, you can go about 162 games and kind of go 3 games, right? And we like blew over 30 games. I mean, our bullpen was just a mess, right? But even if you were to take that out, there were games where, I don't know, I can probably have 5 games off the top of my head where Mickey Callaway just did pitching management as far as like taking a guy out. Like, I remember one game he took out Steven Matz. He was like through 6, only had 60 some odd pitches, was one hit. Mets were up like 3-1 or 4-1 or something like that. Pulled the guy I have no idea why. He had some reason, and then of course they pulled the bullpen in, and then the bullpen imploded. Kept marching Edwin Diaz out there, who just blew, I don't know, like 12 saves himself alone or something like that. It's just like his hands have at least 5 I can count, and that's not even counting like every like. So whenever you can look at your manager going, his decisions mind-boggling. It's his second year. He's not learning from it. I'm sitting there going, that team should be in the playoffs right now. We have an amazing core. I don't think we win the World Series this year because our bullpen was so suspect. But with that core,
it always comes down to the bullpen.
With that core that we have on offense, we should be in the playoffs. And next year we should be really knocking on the door of the World Series. So I'm not.
I know.
I think it's a foregone conclusion. I think he's gone.
Now Madden's gone in Chicago.
I like Madden.
I was gonna say, what about Madden?
I like him. I like it. Yeah.
I
think I like him. My dad likes Joe Girardi. That a lot of people are saying that.
There you go.
Yeah. So
Girardi, I think he got a raw deal.
He got a raw deal with the Yanks.
So. Yeah.
So I kind of like that, but in the same breath, though, he made some questionable decisions. He clashed with management, and
that was the key. He clashed with management.
And you got to look at
management's going to win. Ownership's going to win every time.
That's why I don't think Girardi will be the guy, because the Wilpons are like some of the worst ownership group in Major League Baseball, and so if Girardi couldn't make it work with the Steinbrenner family.
Now, what if Theo Epstein hires Girardi for the Cubs?
Ooh,
What do you think
I
of that
see. I
one?
can see that. I mean,
That's what
yeah,
if I was
I
him,
could see that. Yeah,
I can see that happening. Like that's
I can see definitely. I think I can see the Mets making a run for Madden, but then the Angels fired their manager, so there's a lot of openings right now. That hell, I mean, who would not want to be managing Mike Trout? The Padres, I think, got rid of their guy, so you got a nice core there. You got the Mets, who have a nice core, but like a suspect ownership group. You got the Cubs, who technically just fell apart at the end. So you have it's weird because usually you don't have this many openings with good teams, and a lot of teams that should have made the playoffs that just barely made it. So there's a lot of really good openings, I think, right now. It's just a matter of who's out there, and I just hope the Mets just don't do like a retread, like a Dusty Baker type of guy, where it just
retread. Yeah,
it's
Baker's been everywhere. I love Dusty
he
Baker.
has, yeah.
You know, you're the best job in the management as far as coaching goes for baseball is, don't you?
Mm-mm.
Bullpen coach. What do you?
I would say bench coach would probably be the
No.
What does actually a bench coach even do
He gives
in
advice.
Major League
He gives
Baseball?
advice.
Really? I always thought like the assistant.
Well, no, bullpen coach.
Yeah.
What do you do? You hang out there, out in the bullpen.
Yeah,
all
get the
game,
guys warmed up,
right?
you know, watch them.
You answer the phone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, get Johnson going. Hey, Johnson. No, you don't even do that. That's what the manager does.
Yeah.
Johnson, warm up.
Johnson, warm up.
So
Johnson, sit down.
Yeah, it's a baby.
Johnson, warm up again. Johnson,
it's
sit
a
down.
babysitting job.
Yeah.
All you do is make sure the guys, the 5 or 6 guys in the bullpen, just make sure they're not screwing around all game.
Pretty much,
Make
yeah.
sure you got your uniform on, you're ready to go. Then, don't be too hungover, and just when you're ready, get ready. Like that's it. It's the bullpen coach. That's it. That's what it reminds me of. It's just
Yeah.
do you really need a coach out there? I kind of feel like
I mean,
I kind of feel like the players should be able to answer the phone when it rings.
it's true. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they're doing a lot more than that, but
Not
it's
even that. I feel like the announcer like at the stadium should be like, John Jones, please start warming up in the bullpen. Like that's it. That's all you need. You don't even really need a coach. Was he out there giving them pointers? Come on, man.
I'm actually curious. Like, I wish we must need to get a bullpen coach on the show. Like, what exactly do you do? Can you It's almost like the Bobs in Office Space. Can you tell us about your role here?
That would be a reality show.
Yeah.
Right there. Not about the game. Not about guys going. They're playing. They're in the dugout. I'm talking about in the bullpen, filming it. What do you do all 9 innings? You just hang out. Most of them just hang out. Well, maybe I'll pitch tonight. Maybe I won't. I'm not saying it's not a tough job.
I don't know.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that'd be great. Like that just seems like I don't know. I feel like I could do that for $200,000 a year. I'll be your bullpen coach. I'll give you some pointers.
So I do have a question. So I see you wearing your Reds jersey over there.
That's the only postseason we're gonna see, so I had to represent a little bit.
So usually, because I know for me, usually this time of year, if the Mets are bad, I'm just kind of like, man, we fucking suck, man. We're still shit. This is the first year I'm just like, yeah, even though like we didn't quite get there, I'm just like, dude, I know no delusions that we were going to win a World Series with that bullpen. But I'm looking at next year going, dude, I'm excited. We got such a badass core of young players. We got a good window of a couple years with team control. So I'm looking at my team going, hey, with the right manager, we're in the playoffs next year. We're competing for a World Series next year. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? Mm-hmm. What about your Reds, man? I mean, is there any hope on the horizon? It just seems like every year, well, maybe next year.
The issue with the Reds
is that they suck. I mean, let's just be honest,
is the Cincinnati Reds, they are and will continue to be a small market team.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have these teams, such as the Yankees and the Red Sox and these other teams that are willing to not just spend but exceed the salary cap and are willing to pay the luxury tax. Although I did hear today actually that the Red Sox are looking to get past that luxury tax and not pay that every year and trying to actually scale down salaries. So
are Reds really a small market team? I mean, like what?
The Reds are a small.
What technically is a small market team?
Well, look up the Cincinnati Reds as a definition, and what I mean by that is they're going to be outbid just about every time. They will pay for talent. They will bring talent in, but they'll give it 2-3 years, and then they'll trade them because they'll say, okay, well, we're paying X number of dollars to this guy a year, and for this we can get 2 guys or 3 guys and a future pick. I mean, it is what it is. That's what we do.
So, all right, I'm looking up at the Reds. All right,
they'll get everyone all excited. They'll bring in a player or two and be like, oh, man, this guy's the future, blah, blah, blah. And then, they'll realize that they won't be able to re-sign him, or they'll say, okay, it's kind of run its course. Let's go ahead and save some money. It's just what the Reds do, unfortunately. I mean, It is what it is. We still have some good years sometimes, but
So what delineates a small market though? Because I mean, Cincinnati's a big team. Yeah, I think small
no,
market is
well,
like Kansas City.
it doesn't have to be the size of the city per se. It's almost like the ownership and a frame of mind and how big your checkbook is. That's what I mean by a small market team. I don't necessarily mean by the size of the city itself. I mean, it is what it is. So I don't know. I don't know. Look at the A's, for example.
The small market. I look at that. That's a small market team.
That's the team I'm rooting for in the playoffs. I don't know that they're going to win, but that's who I'm rooting for. Small market team, so to speak. Again, that goes back to Oakland's not a small city, but they don't spend a lot of money compared to their counterparts. So, I love what Billy Beane's doing. He was general manager there for I don't know how many years. He's recently been promoted now. He's like executive vice president of baseball operations or something like that, and he's also a minority owner now. But for many years, I mean, heck, they made Moneyball. The movie, that was a fantastic movie.
I mean, they got some high-priced guys on that team, though. I mean,
yeah, but it's not. If you look at some of the other teams are doing, I don't know. They've consistently kind of been good based on a smaller scale as the salary goes. So that's who I want to win, just because of that, because of the Moneyball type system, or that they have been running or were running. I still think the Astros are going to take it all when it's all said and done. But
so their payroll, they have it down at 100 and let's see here, it's like 206 million, and then you have all the adjustments and everything. So projected competitive balance 144 million. That's all the offsets of who's paying what. So I mean, 144 ain't too bad. I mean,
you pay 144 million in your small market team.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive. I mean, if you really think about it, I mean, that's kind of telling right there. I mean, but it has to be frustrating because, like, I think as a it has to be frustrating when it's kind of like with the Mets, like when they are a big market team and they were playing like a small market team. Like I remember they during the Madoff thing, they wanted payroll below $100 million for it was like I don't know how many years they wanted it below $100 million. I was like, that was the worst to me. It's like you should have like a $200 million payroll and you're trying to get below 100. I remember when they went above 100 for the first time. It was like 2000, maybe it was like 14, maybe 2015. It was just like, oh my god, it was amazing, right? And yeah,
it's weird too when you talk about that. We're talking about 144 million or 100 million dollars for a season.
Chump change.
And, well, speaking of chump change, I mean, look how much they make movies for now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's movies that will. It's crazy the amount of money that they put into for one movie.
Well, now it's gotten to the point where marketing almost costs more than the actual like production of the movie. You'll have like the CGI, production, but yeah,
CGI,
yeah.
And you know what movie that's going to be pretty good that's not going to have CGI is Joker.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I don't know if they're going to have very little. Well, I haven't seen it yet.
It'll be not like a green screen everything basically.
I don't think it's that kind of movie. It's not going to be an effects-driven movie. It's not
even really technically a superhero movie from what everyone's saying. It's not an action movie.
No, I don't think it's going to have any kind of connection to the other, the rest of the DC universe, other than the fact that, he is the Joker.
Yeah.
But it's not. And I think in it there is a scene or two, my understanding is, where he does have an interaction with a young Bruce Wayne, but I think it's only like very quickly, and it's not part of the whole giant storyline, I don't think, but we'll see. And I think his dad Thomas Wayne is in it, who is not, I guess, the nice, philanthropist. I've never been able to say that word.
Philanthropist?
Yeah,
it's a tough one. Yeah,
it's one of those words that just doesn't.
So what's the whole point of the movie then? Is it going to be? Is it just a standalone origin story and that's it?
Todd Phillips, he's the writer and the director.
Directed the Hangover, right?
Hangover movie. He made Old School with Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he made Road Trip.
Yeah.
So he's not really known for like this. I don't know him for these serious movies, but he seems like a heck of a director.
Yeah.
But he's like the writer and director in this one, and it seems like it's a standalone. It has no real connection, if at all, to the other characters. It's set in the I want to say like early 80s, which I think he said he did on purpose to even more further it away from what you got going on now.
Really, it's going to Jack Nicholson territory. That was the 80s.
Yeah, but even that's not connected. Like there's no Batman. Like I said, I think they do have a young Bruce Wayne. I think that's more just to. I don't know why they have it. We're gonna have to find out and see. But I think it's just to kind of have that small connection. Now,
I mean, he's getting a lot of Oscar nods. I mean, everyone's saying like, because I'm not gonna lie, I was like, I think I even talked about it on the show. Like, I was kind of against it. I was like, come on, like, make something new, right? Like, why go back and redo something, especially when Heath Ledger did it so often?
I don't know if they're redoing this per se, because this isn't. I don't know. I think it's just kind of. It's like
it's a story that needed to be told. It's what my beef was, but apparently, I mean, everyone's saying that, dude. Like, it's. I mean, like Joaquin Phoenix is like just knocked it out of the park. Like they're saying he just totally killed it. So I'm interested in it. You know, I'll see it. It's gonna be interesting. The one, actually, my wife and I, like, we were really struggling because, you know, when you have kids, you can only go out so often, right?
Right.
So, you know, as you can see, like, from my shirt, you know, Los Pollos Hermanos, I am a giant Breaking Bad fan, and El Camino, the Breaking Bad movie, is coming out the 11th and 12th, and so my wife and I, of course, get a babysitter. But so it's going to be released in some movie theaters that weekend. And so, like, the Gateway in downtown Columbus is going to be playing it, but it's also going to be released on Amazon or on Netflix. So you can watch it for free on Netflix, right? But then the Joker movie, so I want to see the Joker. So I'm like going, well, okay, like, well, do we want to watch El Camino at home and then go like on Friday and then watch the Joker on Saturday? But you can't watch the Joker on Netflix for a while. So then do I wait to see that? Oh my God. It's like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? So I don't know. I'm really struggling. I'm thinking almost watch El Camino on Friday and then go see Joker on Saturday. Cause, you know, I actually go and see it in the movies, but I'm just super excited about El Camino. It just looks absolutely awesome. Every preview that's come out just looks absolutely amazing. So,
and this is a continuation from Breaking Bad.
Yeah. So one of
it's not like a prequel.
No. So one of the characters, basically. So if
Jesse.
Better Call Saul was a prequel, basically with
Jesse's
a spinoff.
In this one, right?
Yeah. So it's what happened to Jesse after the So apparently it takes place immediately after the events of the finale. And it kind of basically finishes his story of what happened to Jesse after the events of Breaking Bad. And it just follows him. So it looks absolutely awesome. Everyone that said that they've seen it, looked at it, there's nothing, you've not heard anything bad about it. It just looks fucking awesome. So I'm super stoked for that, man. So
it's safe to say that Jesse did not, find a life of peace. He did not find Jesus.
We don't know. That's the thing. His story's yet to be told, so you don't really know.
What's your take on all these sequels and prequels and things of this nature, and they have these shows and these movies where they're like, oh, it's going to be a spin-off, and it's going to be, for example, like the Connors, which is the spin-off of Roseanne, which it's the same show.
Yeah.
You just call it something different.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like in some cases when you have a movie like The Joker, which is going to be awesome, right? I think it's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
You're going to have El Camino, which is going to be great.
Awesome.
By the way, speaking of Joker, real quick, you know who's going to be butthurt out of all this?
Who?
Jack Nicholson wins an Oscar. Heath Ledger wins an Oscar. Joaquin Phoenix is going to be considered or win an Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Leto, they go, he fucking sucks. Oh, man.
Well, to his credit, he did win one for Dallas Buyers Club.
But
so,
I mean,
he's already won one. He's in the club.
I'm just saying, though, but he's going, wait a minute. How everyone else here, and not only are you not going to win or get nominated, they're like, you suck. Like, you literally ruined it. Like, man. And I almost feel bad for him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's going to be crying.
I know.
About.
They didn't even put him in the sequel to Suicide Squad.
Really?
He's not even in it. Like they didn't even try to recast the character.
They just didn't put it in there.
Like the Joker's not. My understanding is the Joker's not in it.
I never even saw the first one.
Like I saw the first one. It was okay.
I never heard anything good about it, so I was just like,
Well, I think I saw it on like Netflix or something like that, or on TV. It was on TV, I think. And I made the wife watch it because Suicide Squad's on. I said, well, I want to see what it's all about. I usually see stuff like a year afterwards.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah,
it takes a while, unless it's something I absolutely really want to see, like the new Terminator movie that's coming out.
We'll see that one.
I don't know that I'll get to it, but I really want to see it.
I'll see that. Well, I always look at there's certain
Joker,
movies.
I want to see.
There's certain movies you got to see like in a movie theater. So like when Ford versus Ferrari comes out in November about the story of Carroll Shelby and Ferrari.
And that's a fresh take on something.
Yeah.
That's not a spin-off.
Yeah.
That's not.
I'll see the hell out of that one.
Yeah.
You know.
We're talking about spin-offs or sequels or prequels. Look at the Connors. They kill off Roseanne, right? And they rename it. They call it the Connors.
It was like that show Blackish. Now there's one called Mix-ish. So it's kind of like.
That looks funny. It's got
like,
Zach Morris.
Yeah, it's like. The way I look at it, I mean, like, I think we grew up in an era where there were so many movies that should have had sequels, but they just, whether it be production budget or it got put in turnaround or one studio, you would always hear the rumors about, but nothing ever came about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was like a million movies where there should have been a redo of it, right? Or a sequel, and this never happened. And so we grew up where it was like, if there was going to be a sequel, it had to be worth it, right? I mean, you look at take E.T., right? It was a huge movie, right?
I heard about that for years.
Yeah, years, right? But if it was purely about money, so if that movie were made today, there would have been it would have been E.T. 17 by now, and it would have been like E.T. Redux, and it would have been E.T. would have been an African American female, alien, from a different planet. It's there would have been 5 remakes because that's what would have made money. So I think I don't know, I look at being a Gen Xer. I look at it, it's sacred to do a sequel, and so it screams to me that they're out of ideas.
If there was any movie to put you on the spot,
yeah.
If there was any movie that you would like to see a sequel to, or another sequel to, is there anything offhand that you can think of? You're like, man, I would like to see. And not that the story's not easy to continue. But is there anything selfishly, you're like, man, I really like that movie. I just wish there was more, or I wish there was. Just something else I could see. Anything you could think of?
Yeah, I'm trying to think as far as what needed one or because I even want to delineate movies that I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to delineate going the idea of it would be great, but would it be any good? The one actually I would like to see is a Major League. A sequel, but it's where they're at now, because they kind of did it, but it was not doing. I'm talking Wesley Snipes getting back in there, get Charlie Sheen, Tom Berenger, get those guys back in there.
There was a rumor they were going to do that.
I heard about that. Yeah,
back when Charlie Sheen he got out of 2.5 Men and he went on his little what do you even call it? His tour, the Charlie Sheen tour.
Yeah,
I don't know what even.
I heard about it. There's even things of him
But even now, that's been several years. Now he's kind of aged out. There's no way you would believe that he's still pitching. Back then, when this was
I would say it'd be more they'd be managers or they would be
Well, what I'm saying though is when this Charlie Sheen thing happened and he they released him from 2.5 Men. I don't know how many years ago it's been now, and he kind of went borderline crazy for a minute with Tiger Blood and Adonis DNA and with the goddesses. And,
cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Right? Yeah. But they were talking about another Major League movie. It was going to be, Wild Thing Vaughn, basically, in his final season. Kind of like a Nolan Ryan type deal, where, he's the old man, but he's still kind of got the fastball, and sometimes he can still get you.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, it's going to happen, and it never happened. And I was like, oh.
If I had to pick one, and I'm going to sound like a dork when I say this, I wish they would have done it. So, Gettysburg is one of my favorite military movies, right? So it was supposed to be 3 of them. So it was of Gods and Generals, which was kind of the ramp up to the Civil War, which then it kind of left off where Gettysburg was, which came out first. So there was supposed to be a 3rd one called The Last Full Measure. And it was supposed to be basically taking it through Appomattox Courthouse and just, and they never ever went back and did it. And it was just, they even had it when on that movie came out, it even says that this is a part of the trilogy. They never went back and did it. And that's one of those where it's how do you not complete that? And it was one of the most well done.
It's historical.
One of the most well done Civil War movies. And just once again, budgeting and the stars they wanted in there, they all blew up. Had Jeff Daniels and Robert Duvall and Martin Sheen, and so you had all these guys that were Matthew Broderick. So it was you get these guys where they all blow up and you can't afford them all of a sudden.
Right, absolutely.
So it's. I think there's a lot of ones out there where I think if it could be well done, you'd like it, but just not now, man. I guess the Terminator one's interesting only in the fact that James Cameron's okay. So just imagine none of the other ones were made past Terminator 2, and this is how the movie should have been made.
Ignore everything else.
Yeah, so that's the part of me digs it. He had the balls to kind of go, without trashing the other people, but you can't get more like obvious than just imagine none of the other movies were made, and
even, like, acknowledge it?
this is where it's at. And JC always makes good movies. Avatar 2 is going to be fucking amazing. So those are ones where I look at going, it makes sense. Like, I want to see what the other parts of the Avatar world look like, you know. I heard The Matrix, they're coming out with a fourth Matrix.
Yeah, we talked about it here on the show.
Yeah, so like that is one where I'm eager to see where that story goes, right?
I'll tell you, speaking of sequels, I'll tell you a franchise that shouldn't have had so many sequels. We're talking about which ones should have some. One that I wish I could erase is like the last two Die Hard movies.
Oh yeah, they were fucking awful.
Those, I'll tell you what, with the budget they had and all the technology and all the special effects.
Die Hard or Die Another Day.
Like Die Hard 4.0 or whatever the hell it was called, or Die Hard.
Yeah, it was like Die Hard 6.9.
They had Die Hard 2.
Yeah, the last one,
Die Hard with a Vengeance, was a great one.
The last good one was the one with Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah,
that was the last good
that was
one.
Number 3.
Yeah,
and they should have stopped right there.
Yeah,
and then they came out with 2 more after that, which of course I saw, and it was not good.
2 is still my favorite.
Dude.
Yeah.
Die Hard is so fantastic because the guy does not have superhuman strength. No superpowers. He's not part of an elite.
But that's where it got absurd, though, for the other ones. It's almost like, are you fucking superhero now?
Well, but that's why they should have stopped after the first 3, because by the fourth one, I think it was the fourth one, maybe it was the fifth one, I don't know, they both run together. I mean, he was diving over cars, near misses. The other one, he was diving off a helicopter, right? Okay, he dove off a building in the first one. He had tied the rubber hose around him.
Yeah.
That was so believable, and you could feel the pain. Even today, you could watch it. He had
like walking with a glass.
No shoes
and, like,
on.
And like the blood trails.
But by the fourth or fifth one, he's diving off this helicopter from this collapsing building, landing on the helicopter, hanging onto it, going up. I think he's like ripping the bad guy, and I'm like, no. John McClane in Russia, of course.
You know what I really dug? Another good sequel is Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2. Those are great. Those are great. Yeah.
I always felt like they had more money to make in those, but they had
there was a third, but the third sucked.
Yeah, the third one was kind of bad too. But my point is, though, Hollywood, they usually will hump a movie all the way till it doesn't make any more money. So.
I'm still suspect on Top Gun 2. Like, I don't. I'll see it. I don't think it's gonna be any good, but
it just depends. I mean, I saw the trailer. You saw the trailer.
Yeah.
They can do a lot of good things with trailers.
Yeah, they can. Yeah,
that's what's so messed up.
I think
is they can make stuff look really good that's not good.
Well, it's kind of like when they did Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I walked out of that movie. I've only walked out 2 movies in my entire life. That was one I walked out. I literally was disgusted. I never looked at Harrison Ford and Robert Zemeckis and all those guys the same way ever again.
I remember a couple of years ago when Bryan Cranston made a remake, I guess you'd call it, to Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see that trailer?
Yeah, it was.
The trailer looked amazing.
Yeah.
I watched it going, oh my god!
But I couldn't tell you what the movie was about.
The movie was terrible.
Yeah,
it wasn't good.
Yeah.
The trailer, one of the better trailers I've ever seen. I was like, wow, this is fantastic.
The best is like there's movies where you don't even realize it's a sequel until like the M. Night Shyamalan, Split, and what was the last one? I know what you're saying. The one where they all came together. Fucking awesome, right? You don't even know that they were sequels, right? J.J. Abrams with was it Cloverfield? And then that whatever, it was like 313 Cloverfield Lane.
John Goodman.
Yeah, those like, and they were inadvertent. They were in the idea of like they're in the universe of fucking amazing, right? Yep. That's a movie where I wish there would have been either a prequel or like a direct prequel or a direct, because they alluded to so much, but then they never wrapped it all up, and then they kind of did that with the Cloverfield Lane, but. So those are ones where it's like, you're not making a sequel to those.
It's beyond me.
It is. A lot's beyond me, man.
Well, before we get out of here, real quickly, your take on this week's NFL. What was the most interesting thing you took away from this week?
Most interesting.
Well, we both know the Dolphins still suck.
I think the Cowboys are definitely suspect. Everyone was sucking their dicks like, oh my God, they're so awesome. They basically were playing neck and neck with Miami for the entire first half the week before, and they kind of eked it out kind of there towards the end. And then you had the Drew Breesless, Saints just ran
Teddy
all
Bridgewater.
over them. Yeah, they couldn't put any ends up. They ran all over them, shut down their offense. I mean, there's no running game, no passing game. So that was, I don't know if it's surprising. I mean, I was kind of worried that they were good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was a surprise. Yeah, that was a big one. My Eagles going into Lambeau Field on Thursday Night Football, where Aaron Rodgers is undefeated on Thursday Night Football at Lambeau, and we were able to go in there and do what we did, which, I mean, I knew we were a good team. The problem is when you lose all the injuries that we had, although I think our defense is kind of suspect. That surprised me. And Buffalo playing Buffalo's defense is fucking tough, man. Yeah. Dude, man,
despite losing, Buffalo's the real deal.
They are. I didn't know. I still think their offense is really suspect, but their defense, man, their defense is as good as any defense in the league right now.
I am one game away, one more good showing of being on the Chase Daniel bandwagon in Chicago.
Really,
dude? I'm telling you what, right now.
I don't think Trubisky is any good.
Well,
I think
he's. I'm not saying he's not good. I'm just saying he's going to be out for another week.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to play in the game in London against Oakland, and Chase Daniel will again get the start.
Yeah.
He went down like three snaps into the game. He threw for 195 yards.
Yeah.
He was like something like 20 of 28. Like wow.
Chase Daniel's not a bad quarterback, man. I mean, he was the backup in Philly, man.
This guy's been around for a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not a young.
He's never really even had a chance either.
I worried when I was watching that game, and Trubisky went down, like I said, on the third play of the game, and in comes Chase Daniel, and they go, just so you know at home, folks, the emergency quarterback for the Bears is running back Tariq Cohen. What is the deal with NFL teams not carrying a third quarterback anymore?
That's what I think they're trying to, in the next collective bargain, I think their trade-off is that if they get 17 games, which it sounds like they're going to try to get, the trade-off is they want to expand the roster, I think, by like 3 or 4 people, because it's like that's the problem, is that they're not doing that third starter because they want to have an extra lineman or an extra, fill in the blank.
Because in the Chicago game, like I said, when Trubisky went down and Chase Daniel comes in, who did a great job, but they said, hey, the next guy up is the running back, Tariq Cohen. And I'm as a Chicago fan, I'm horrified going, what? Wait a minute. You don't have a third-string quarterback. Everyone has a third-string quarterback. They don't anymore.
Yeah. Well, they have them, but they're more the practice squad or the scout team
but
reps.
I'm just saying that's absurd that that because quarterbacks are going to get injured.
Yeah, it's just they play the percentages of like what are the chances that we
go.
What are the chances? But I mean, it happens. I mean, it
does happen.
Yeah. So I always say like everyone gets all like hyped about teams like the first 4 weeks, and I'm like, man, the first 4 weeks now is basically preseason. That you don't really know, because how many times you see a team jump out the 3-1, 4-0?
Well, now in preseason they don't even play the starters.
Yeah, exactly. So like to me, it's like you want to find out who somebody is. It's like you go through where you have new coaches, new coordinators, people make adjustments, people get into their.
Look at the quarterback position. Like I said, we talked about it now. They're carrying 2 quarterbacks, and you hope that those guys don't get injured during a game.
Yeah.
Because then what do you do? It's messed up, man.
The only big surprise is how much they're calling offensive pass interference. I have never seen to where it is like 4-1 offensive pass interference to defensive pass interference now. I don't understand why all of a sudden they are calling it. It's to the point now where it's like I don't even know what receivers and defenders are supposed to do.
Push off.
You can't do anything now. I mean, literally, you cannot do shit. It's almost like you got a fucking shadow box. It's like mimes going at it. I mean, it's like
a player from the Raiders. He got suspended for the season.
I know, perfect, right? But dude, he does like 18 like suspensions for like.
Dude, he's had like.
It's like, come on, man.
He has legitimately had like $4 million in fines.
Yeah. Like I think he's been suspended 18 times.
How's that possible? Because he plays for the Raiders.
Yeah. I mean, he was on the Bengals for a while. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, the dude, I mean, literally, it's like, come on, man. Like, yeah. So that was your big surprise. It's offensive pass interference, man. It's just, I don't know, man. I'm just sitting there going, like, what the fuck, man? I don't get it.
That's all I get.
I just don't get it, man.
Yeah. Next week, we'll rehash this again and see what we got. And
we always will, right?
Absolutely. So, on that note, we're going to go ahead and shut this down for the weekend. The week. Depending on when you're listening, I don't know.
The hell with them.
Oh, Christ, no one's listening anyway. Little Major League reference. For myself, Bill Reed, I am the host here at the Armchair QB. For Mike Devine, he is the host of the Gray Matters Network. You can check out both of these right here on the 614 Radio Network.
All day. All day.
Woo! Thank you guys for joining us, and check us out next week. We'll be back, and we'll be covering more and have some more baseball playoffs and more football. Damn straight.